Hey, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Christina Kent, an artist based out of San Francisco. And today we're going to do a little bit of drawing practice. I have been doing a lot of painting recently and have kind of gotten away from just drawing and sketching. And that used to be like the whole foundation of my art practice, especially when I was younger. So to not be drawing very much, I don't know, I really like to try to maintain my drawing ability. And I also think that good drawing skills will just serve you really well for painting. So anyway, so today, what I'm doing is I'm doing a kind of a master copy, you could call it, of a drawing of a sketch that John Singer Sargent did. And I love John Singer Sargent's oil paintings. And I just thought, oh, well, maybe I could learn more about him as a painter by studying some of his drawings. And I think some of the confidence that you see in his brush strokes and being able to make those beautiful painterly strokes, I feel like he just has such a great understanding of the use of line. So I thought it'd be fun to look at some of his old drawings and pick one to sketch. So that's what I'm doing here. And what I really liked about this drawing of his was the sense of energy in it, the economy of marks. I feel like he's able to convey so much with just a few really nicely placed marks of his pencil. And so that's what I'm that's really what I'm studying in my drawing, in my copy. So I'm working just on some newsprint paper with charcoal, and already early on in this drawing, I feel like my lines are just way sketchier than his. I'm trying to match not only the shape of his lines, but also get the proportions of everything right. And I feel like he probably did this drawing very rapidly. A lot of the marks that he makes, it looks like they're just one-off marks, versus when I'm putting them in, I'm doing it very sketchy. You can see my drawing, especially at this stage, just looks so much fuzzier than his. So I'm going to miss the simplicity of line that he has, but I'm hoping that once I put in the sketchy beginning, then I can get at some of those more decisive marks that he's making, especially like here in the dress. I can have a little bit more freedom there, especially when I've already kind of found the placement of everything. And as I'm looking at this drawing, so partially I'm trying to get similar proportions to what he has, and quickly be able to copy those over, but I also am trying to pay attention to line weight. How thick are the lines in some areas, and how thin are they in other areas, and how does that vary across the whole drawing? And then how does that variation contribute to the sense of movement and energy that I'm seeing in the piece? Because I feel like when I look at his drawing, I really get this sense of, oh, this was a quick sketch that he did in the moment. And I want to be able to capture that in my own marks. And I think the line weight really comes into play there, where some lines are very dark and the marks are very strong and decisive, while other marks are almost like ghostly. They're just really vaguely hinted at. But I love how that moves your eye from one line to the next and then moves it around the drawing as a whole. And that's why I love doing master copies like this. I really like to just feel connected to other artists in art history, or even contemporary artists. I'll do copies of the work of contemporary artists as well. But I just feel like there's so much that you can learn through trying to copy someone else's piece and trying to figure out how they conveyed the mood and the energy and the feeling that they conveyed with their mark making and with their choice of, in the case of paintings, like color, and but also in drawings we have the mark making, we have the design, we have the composition. there's just so much that can be learned, and I feel like I don't fully learn that unless I'm actually recreating the image myself and trying to go kind of stroke for stroke or line by line. And here it was just really interesting to try to match some of his really quick marks, because of course he would have made them just in the moment, in an instant. But for me, trying to study it and trying to replicate it, I found I was going in general a lot slower, and like I said, kind of making these more hesitant marks that I would then just go over later to make a bit stronger. I also really enjoyed how in his drawing there's so much care and attention paid to the upper part of the woman's body, her hair and her back, and that area, it feels very delicate and elegant. And then you have like the ruffles and wrinkles of her dress that are just much more chaotic, and you have some really bold marks there. And yet I feel like the two have a nice balance with each other. Like somehow it all works together, even though the top part does seem more refined and the bottom part seems really messy. But as a whole, I think it really comes together quite nicely. And then one thing that I really struggled with this drawing was getting the hand right. I feel like the way that Sargent depicted her hand with just a few strokes, not even really drawing in all the fingers, he put it in such an expert and beautiful way, and yet my hand kept coming across too much. It felt kind of like a claw or something, and it was so hard for me to figure out like how the way that he did the hand, it seemed so elegant, and I would try to do this similar strokes, and yet mine kept coming out in this more kind of clunky claw-like way. That you can see I keep trying and retrying to get the hand to look right. And you would think with a drawing, I mean, you would think a simple drawing like this, I could replicate it, but it was surprisingly difficult and very humbling. After I go back and forth on the hand a few times, I get it to a place where it's still, of course, not elegant as his version, but I think it's good enough. So then I can go and sort of refine some of the other details of the image, trying to get those last bits to look more like, to capture the feeling that his drawing had. But for the most part, I've accomplished what I wanted to do with this study. And yeah, I hope that looking at this, it can inspire you to do your own studies of artists that you really love and admire. Like I said, there's so much learning that you can obtain by doing studies like this and by trying to replicate another artist's work kind of stroke for stroke. And let me know in the comments if you like to do master copies and if you've tried copying other artists' paintings or drawings and what you learned from that. Also, if you really liked this video, it would be so helpful to me if you liked the video or you subscribe to my channel. All of these things really help me out. My channel isn't sponsored by anyone, so your support just really, really helps, and I'm so appreciative of it. And also, I have to give a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for making these videos happen. And if you like my art, if you like my videos, and you want to help me make more, then you can check out my Patreon at the link. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.